Welcome to the Aussie Game Podcast. We're here to talk all things Australian football as usual, and we're here for this special episode to break down the Young Socceroos and their 4-1 loss to Argentina in the second game of the Under-20 World Cup. Here to help me go through all that is Mopper. How are you, mate?
Yeah, good. Thanks, Chief. Thanks for the intro, and welcome everybody again for another breakdown of our second game against Argentina. And lots to talk about in this one. I'm sure a lot of fans will be disappointed as we've lost two in a row, but we still hope. We do need a lot of things to go our way in game three, but like I said with the group, 4 best third team finishers can get through. So we've still got one game, hopefully, to get that right. And look, we're just got to look on the positive side because we definitely played a world-class Argentina team that showed high strength and very good qualities on the ball, and their passing was just world-class.
Yep, I'm going to go through the third place scenarios. I've run the numbers, Mopper. Hopefully my maths is okay. So we're going to go through that a little bit later. But let's start with the starting lineup that the Young Socceroos played against Argentina. There were 3 changes from the match against Italy. James Overy came in, Thiago Quintal came in, and Jalen Pearman came in, and out went Luki Ivanovic, Josh Insera, and Fabian Taladera. You spoke the other night, mate, about the potential of playing a bit more conservatively, 4-2-3-1. I suppose we kind of got that in that lineup with Jovanovic coming out, and we had another midfield in there. What did you make of the starting lineup, and how did you see it play out?
Yeah, it was much needed, and like they obviously wanted to box the midfield in and slow Argentina's transition down. I believe that's why he probably dropped the striker, and I would have done the exact same thing. And we probably needed some link-up play and some overlapping from the fullbacks to try to get a bit wider, just to try to stretch Argentina. So I was right on Trevor Morgan's tactics. I thought it was a great idea. And the players coming in, Overy, obviously they're excited to see. Quintal's a wider type attacking player, and Pearman we've seen playing a number of 10 roles, second striker, and a very attacking player. So I thought all the ins were really positive. And Jovanovic, well, he just had to sacrifice. He did work really hard in the first game, but he had to drop one of them and to obviously fit this system. In Sarah, obviously, with Overy and Benny, obviously in the side, but I thought they would have played on the same side, but they were playing on the opposite, which I probably thought I'd like to see them both on the one side, but it's just good to see Overy in to get a first good look at him, and Taladera on the left-hand side. So, look, obviously they put Overy out on the left, Benny out on the right, and that was his tactics, and an extra midfielder or attacking link player in there. But the problem is, and how it rolled out was, we conceded too early, and in the third or fourth minute, and that threw that tactic straight out the window. So, unfortunately, goals change the way and styles of play, and unfortunately, with our setup, it kind of didn't suit us then, because obviously we needed another striker to score a goal. But I think, it was the right setup to start with. It's just, again, unfortunately, we've conceded way too early at this tournament, and it's put us on the back foot.
Yeah, second game in a row we've conceded a goal early. You did note that James Overy had a good first minute or so with a nice little move down the left-hand side as he was playing in that left fullback spot. And then, Argentina had a chance, and then they've opened the scoring. Originally, the goal was disallowed for a push by the referee. It was sent to VAR, who overturned the decision, or the referee, after looking at the monitor, overturned the decision. Probably one of those 50-50 ones. Could have been a bit stronger, but the goal was given. I think I wanted to note that just before that attack, we had a 3-on-3 counter-attack. Quintal put the ball just behind Mo Toure, and I think it was similar in that Italy game where Jovanovic had that chance and the keeper saved it, and then Italy have come back down the other end and scored. So it's just these moments in matches where we're just not quite getting it right, and we're getting punished.
Oh, look, the carbon copy for me. Esposito was probably caught on the wrong side as well. Got himself in the wrong position, and obviously, wasn't strong enough. 50-50 could have gone either way, but obviously now when they freeze frame these VAR, would have made it difficult to still keep the decision of no goal, because realistically Sarko was just too strong. But the main point for me that I want to discuss after that counter attack is the way we defended it when we lost the ball. And this was exactly the same way we allowed Italy in the first goal, or the penalty anyway, leading to it. We defended side on to the player. So the Argentina player picked up the ball in midfield, and again, he's looking forward, and he's got the whole pitch in front of him to look at and play an easy ball through. We're defending on the side of him, and someone needed to be in front of him, and it was exactly the same defensive lapse that allowed Italy were defending on the side, not in front, for him to allow to play that through ball. So, look, I don't look at the goal. I look at the moment that leads up to it, and I think that carbon copy of that first goal, how it was set up, you were spot on. It was exactly like the Italy one, and we got punished for it. And it was a small moment. Maybe people don't look at that, midfield build up, but it was big consequences because it cost us dearly.
And then after that goal, you noted that Benny made the switch, rotating flanks, and that Yuli was dropping into the 10, but then pushing high when he got the chance.
Yeah, I found it a bit strange, actually. Benny was over on that left-hand side. It was only for the first 10, 11 minutes, so I thought, is this part of that rotating midfield? But it didn't last very long after that. He went back to the right, but he was definitely trying to link up with Overy on that left-hand side in the first 10 minutes. Whether it was just trying to drag his defender across or try to create a bit of play in there, or just try to get on the ball, because a lot of the ball was going down that left. We're very confident to play out of Overy's side, but it didn't last long after 10, 15 minutes. He went straight back to the right. So I just thought I'd note that down, because he was drifting across, which, hey, I'm a fan of if you're going to pull players out of position, as long as he's there defensively.
I think after that first 10 minutes or so, and the VAR decision did take a while, so we almost got to the 10 minutes before the goal was eventually given. But we did have a decent spell in that kind of 10 minutes afterwards. Our first real big chance came after that point, 14th minute. Good ball in the final third, and then the ball just kind of bounced around a little bit, just didn't quite fall for one of our players. Overy almost got onto it. So, yeah, we had a decent chance there. 18th minute, Stephen Hall, played a poor ball out, and then he made amends for it with a nice save off the Argentina free kick. But I thought we had a couple of moments in there, but from the 20th minute on, we're back under pressure again, weren't we?
Yeah, look, I made a stat that the first 25 minutes, Argentina had 4 shots, 3 on target, were at 0-0. Overy got the ball stuck when that ball come across back to the goal. It was in the box, but Argentina surrounded him. So you're spot on there. But again, look at possession. Argentina were really putting us under a lot of pressure, and they were creating. And it's just their world-class football, their elite transition, their ability to pick the pass and have that composure to play the next pass, why they were getting so many shots and so many shots on target. They were really making smart choices. They were world class, and we're under a lot of pressure again in certain moments.
I think it's worth paying credit to Argentina at this moment as well, because as much as we might be analysing the Young Socceroos performance, we must say that Argentina were very good in this match, and they did put us under a lot of pressure for the majority of the game. But let's look ahead to one of our better moments in the 27th minute. We got a free kick, great ball in from Yuli, kind of bounced around, defensive header from Argentina, just came a bit too quickly for Esposito. It was almost like he got too much on it, and the ball kind of sailed over the bar and landed on the roof of the net. But then, another spell of possession for Argentina after that one.
Yeah, and then the 33rd minute, it was a great press. This was the controversial moment of the first half. We had a great press, and the reward was, we thought the reward was Quintal's equaliser. I just want to note that Overy caused the turnover in the first place, where the front line made the press, but Overy won the header in the front half, and allowed an Argentina to obviously try to play it back because they're under pressure and put a poor ball in. But kind of professionally, the defender knew he was in trouble, and professionally, protected the ball with his body and took the minimal contact. But unfortunately, when you freeze frame VAR these days and you don't look at the situational play, And we've kind of seen this against Fulham and Chelsea, where they freeze flame that boot on boot. That when you don't look and understand the play and the football, what's going on, I think if the referee would have taken that into consideration, it would have been a goal. But unfortunately, when this is the only fault of VAR. When you freeze frame it, you're only looking at one motion, and they've frozen it on that first initial soft contact, which really was the Argentina being put under pressure and was poor, but they should have got punished for it. And not being biased, I think that in 95% of the time should have been a goal.
Mate, that for me, I am going to be biased, but that was so soft. That kind of challenge happens all over the pitch, all the time, in every single minute of the game. As you said, when they do freeze frame it down and make it look at the contact in that sense, it makes it look far worse. But it was just a soft challenge for me. Argentina defenders gone down looking for the free kick. We should have been at 1-1 at that point. Unfortunately, as you said, VAR overturned the goal that was originally given. The referee, after consulting with VAR, overturned the decision. But we got punished after that point, didn't we? Because the worst possible time to concede a goal, just before half time. Badalado lost the ball, counter-attack, cleared it away, but the next player that came in, and then Argentina players held the ball, and it was just really poor tracking. We were so static in that 18-yard box, let the Argentinian players creep in, and then conceded that goal just before half time, which was very disappointing.
Yeah, look, it was a killer blow, and I think it, for the Australian fans, I thought, wow, we're in trouble here. And again, it was, if you look at the way we conceded, again, losing the ball, trying to turn it in our back half, turning blind, lost the ball. It was a huge error, and the consequences at this level just gets punished. And I think if we're going to take any learnings out of these first two games, the consequences of losing the ball in the back half is huge, and it's a massive learning for the Socceroos under 20s, and they're going to have to really try to fix this, because if they don't, then all the hard work that they're doing to stay in games and try to get in the games and try to compete against these sides are getting undone by our own simple errors in the game. So we went in at half time. Argentina had 6 shots, 4 on target. We had 2 shots, that one on target, but we're down in possession, and we're down in passes. Argentina had made 54 more passes, and their passing accuracy was 5% higher than ours at 83%. And they were just better with the ball and put us under immense pressure. I didn't feel like we created much in that first half. There wasn't many chances. We struggled to link up to the final third. I thought this was our biggest letdown, and it was the biggest letdown in the Italy game. And I was really concerned because of the way Argentina were moving the ball. I was definitely concerned going into that halftime break.
Yep, and then into the second half, no changes for the Young Socceroos. Argentina did have a chance very early in that second half, and then we had a good moment there where James Overy won a free kick just at the start of the second half. And the corner came in, and then fortunately Esposito has just headed over. But yeah, great ball in from Pearman that was saved as well. So. And then we had a shout for handball, VAR, that was challenged by the Young Socceroos coaching staff. For me, this wasn't a penalty. I thought it was a bit of a strange one. I'm not sure what kind of angles they see, but I thought it was a bit of a strange one to even challenge the player. Looked like he had his arm close to his body in a natural position. So I thought that was a bit of a strange one.
I just think we're a bit desperate. I think that's why we put in a
True.
challenge, hoping that something would happen. We needed to, I think, raise the confidence of the Socceroos to say that there's a chance there. Maybe it was tactical, maybe it wasn't, but yeah, I think the rules and law of the game were never going to be in our favour for this one.
No, certainly agree with that. And then a couple of changes in the 53rd minute. So Reece Yuli came off for Jovanovic, and Insera came on for Quintal. So that meant that Benny moved a bit further forward, with Insera taking that spot at right back. Do you think that did much for us to get back into the game?
Yeah, it got Benny on the ball and got him further forward. We didn't find Benny at all in the first half. We went down the left a lot with Overy, which was fine. But yeah, Benny struggled to get in the game the first half. But this brought him straight into the game. Probably his most suitable position, yeah, that right midfield where he can just get further forward and get released and get linked in. Yeah, we really needed Benny on the ball. He's someone that can hold the ball and deliver a quality ball. So I thought it was a really good move. It made some cover at right back with Insera. Insera was solid against Italy and has always done a good job there. And Jovanovic was just a bit more run. Yuli had a good start to the first half, but yeah, went missing, I think. And I think it was only we just couldn't find him, and I just don't think we could find Toure as well. So I don't think it was the fact that Yuli was poor. I just think we just couldn't find his feet, and we just couldn't link up. So our transition wasn't good enough to get these players involved. So I think it was the right move to try to tactically change something.
Yeah, I agree with that in terms of Benny's positioning. I mean, he'll do a job for you anywhere. He's just that type of player. But his speed and his strength, and sometimes his directness, more more beneficial for us to be utilising him further forward up the pitch. You noted some things around the 61st, 62nd minute about our passers struggling to find players.
Yeah, I just, every time we tried to transition, we actually reverted to going long, and it was just getting worse actually because when we get long, we just got sucked out, and they just kept winning the ball back, and it was coming back so quick because of the way they move the ball and hold the ball. They're just technically better than us. You just must admit this is a world class side, and I don't I think we were forced to go long because we couldn't get it on the ground. We lost it when we went on the ground. We're really struggling to trying to find the right balance. And I think we're just trying to find things. And again, I just couldn't see, we couldn't get Toure on the ball. Jovanovic was started to work hard. He was starting to build up and put some more pressure on. But yeah, our possession and transition was just not happening.
Yeah, it was battle for Toure to get the ball much. He worked pretty hard. I thought there was a few tussles there, but yeah, just didn't have the luck today, unfortunately. Argentina had a few chances in the next couple of minutes, but then sorry, Agosti came off a Badalado as well in that period. But then, do you want to talk us through the goal for Australia?
Or a bit of luck, a bit of fortune, whichever way you want to look at it. There was a goal for Australia after Toure, a nice link up play. What we've been trying for all game, it hadn't worked, but Toure, a nice link up play and a through ball by Pearman. Keeper rushes out and misses it, and Benny puts the ball into the net for some, I believe, a little bit of redemption. He would have been looking for that after the first game, and that I think that will give him some great confidence. So I thought, you know, finally reap some reward. We're a bit unlucky, obviously, with that first, goal disallowed, but this one wasn't going to be denied, and Benny finished nicely after horrendous error by the goalkeeper. But he was there. That's the main thing. He was moving forward, and it was a great link up by Toure. So we got back in 2-1, and it felt like I think Australia felt like bang, we're back in it. But what do you know? Within like 15 seconds, Sarko nearly scores straight away. Just the fast pace of this Argentina team, just unbelievable. Yeah, Hall pulled off a fantastic save and kept us in the game. The game was at a frantic pace. The 71st minute, Overy draws a foul in the final third. He drew a few fouls. He was really good, really strong on the ball, Overy. It was a really impressive debut. And then we had Socceroos had a great opportunity with Ivanovic shooting and just tipped over. And the confidence was building from the Socceroos. We had the corner next, but had to wait for that another review of VAR check from Ivanovic's free kick that he had. And what penalty, third time lucky? Well,
I don't know. I don't know what they're looking at.
Well,
The keepers tipped the ball over the bar, and they're looking at.
that was the problem, wasn't it? If the ball was near Benny,
Yeah,
who got tangled, if the ball was down there and it was in that play, then maybe there was something to look at. But because the keeper saved it, it was just Again, it was just another throw of the dice. I think, that bit desperate. But I agree on that one. It was there was definitely some tangling, but Benny wasn't close enough to the ball to challenge. So anyway, Benny did get pulled down, taken down, but the big decision, no penalty again. Corner up next, but we wasted it. And then Overy did have a great ball, but Argentina clear again. So, but I thought Overy again was getting some ball in there, which was really good. He was pushing up a bit higher up the pitch, which was good. But then Argentina again, straight on the counter, but it was lucky and Sarah cleared. And then Argentina again, the 79th minute, made a triple change. And the commentator says, yeah, it brings on from Benfica and all these super clubs. They just had great amount of depth. And Caruso was off, and I went, thank God. He absolutely tore us apart in this game. And I thought, oh, thank God Caruso's off, because he was causing us all sorts of trouble. But
the last 10 minutes or so was a bit chaotic, wasn't it? Obviously, us going for what was the equaliser at that point, and then Argentina having the ability to counter on us as well. So it was a bit basketball, a bit end to end at that point.
Yeah, it was fast paced. It was electric. It was all happening. 83rd minute, another Argentina change, but we just couldn't hold the ball long enough. This was the problem. In the key moment, our composure, we just couldn't keep it and move it. And 85th minute, Max Caputo come on, last throw of the dice for Pearman off. And then 88th minute, Argentina shot on target again, but it was comfortable for Hall. But then another counter attack in the 89th minute from Argentina, shot wide. Hall saves again. Puts it behind, and then we got an injury time. I thought it'd be about 6 minutes, and I was pretty spot on. So we had 6 minutes, but again, just lacked that bit of composure. And then in the 90th minute, Argentina again, another shot deflected for a corner, and another Argentina change as they were trying to obviously control the last minutes with the tempo of the game. And then the 92nd minute, the unfortunate 92nd minute, Australia hand back the goodwill. We didn't clear the ball. I think he was hoping it'd go out. He could have just kicked it out, obviously trying to keep the ball in play, but it was in our box, and it was just another big error. And Argentina took the chance, and it was 3-1 in a heartbeat, and the game was done. But then, a minute later, again, like Argentina did all game, they didn't rest their laurels for 1 second. Another fine rocket shot from Argentina, and the game ended up 4-1, which I thought these two late goals could be a knife or a dagger, because these two goals could prove very costly. And now we're not only hoping for other teams to do and get results for us to keep us in, and we've got to obviously beat Cuba now by probably a larger margin, because if that goal difference comes into it, we could be, there's still hope, I get it, but those two goals were not very good that we conceded that late.
No, it certainly wasn't. If we were to only go down 2-1, it certainly would have helped our chances of being one of those best third place finishes. But unfortunately, 2 goals conceded late, and you could just tell how flat the boys were after the game, which is really disappointing for them. They're obviously pinning so many of their hopes on going further in this tournament, and we still hold out some hope that that's still going to be a possibility. But Argentina was certainly the better team today, deserved the win. We have to say that. And I think probably it gives us a bit of a sense as to what we want to aspire to, both at this level and national and full national level as well, because what we are seeing with this team is the willingness to play the ball and be brave on the ball and play those difficult passes. And I suppose when you do that, and when you do come up against these really strong opposition, you do run that risk of being picked apart. Losing the ball and then having those teams come at you really quickly. So this is the way we want to play, and when we see this team play like this, we really love it. But I suppose the counter to that is that we do need to be really careful when we come up against these world-class teams.
Yeah, we lost the big moments and elite competitions. This is where the game changes. Again, early goal conceded, like we said. Yes, we're unfortunate. We should have been at 1-1, but again, you can't deny Argentina's dominance, and it showed. 21 shots they created, 21 shots, 10 on target. Like, that's the quality of Argentina just overpowered us. And for us, 7 shots, 4 on target, 45% possession. Again, pass accuracy though, 75% was even worse than Italy's game. We're at 78% with Italy, but now 75%. And again, if we're going to turn the ball over in poor areas, then we're going to just allow that continued pressure. And just Argentina, just too good in transition. They're just too smart and too technical. And you've seen how crisp they moved the ball. Even moving in the final third, they just like that felt like forever. They just had that half second, waited, found that right pass, found the next right pass, and they just created so many opportunities just by just good football and a really good lesson learned. And yeah, like yeah, we all know Argentina's strength at home developing young talent, and it's one that we can definitely look at as a benchmark to try to get there one day.
Okay, mate, let's have a look at a few player performances. We did ask for some questions and comments this afternoon, and we've actually got some really great ones. So I'm going to put you to the test, mate. The first one is from Socceroo Enthusiast, who has asked any particular thoughts on specific players from the Argentina game, particularly Overy. And then Oslock has given us some clubby hands with Overy, saying so he's obviously impressed with him. But what did you make of Overy's performance?
Yeah, thanks for the question. I appreciate it. I look, the first thing I seen before we even got out in the pitch, and I mentioned this in my notes, he come out of the tunnel. He was at the back of the tunnel, but he was so focused. He was clapping to the lads. He looked like a pro and he looked like a leader. He was really like trying to G these boys up, and I thought it was a sign of leadership just there in that tunnel. I just realised out his steely eyes, he was very focused, and I thought with that coaching and encouragement in that tunnel, I definitely thought, yeah, this guy's the real deal. And that was just from a mental point of view. And then obviously the first minute, I did mention in the notes that, yeah, he made that beautiful glide move and beautiful pass off to Yuli, who did that beautiful touch. I only seen really Overy lose the ball once, and that was early on in the first 5 minutes where he went inside when, he put a player under pressure. But what I really liked is his ability to draw fouls. He created Argentina problems. He picked up several free kicks from the referee just by his positioning. I loved it when he got into the half. He was in the box. He had that opportunity. Just probably ball just got stuck in his feet, and he just had no options. And that was like 6 yards out. There was no options to lay the ball back because we just went around him. But I really liked that second half when he glided into the opposition half, picked up the ball, started putting in crosses. I thought he looked very dangerous. I think we went away from what we did really well for him in the first 10, 15 minutes. We didn't find our width and transition and stretched Argentina enough for him to get on the ball because I think my take out of Overy is he's very good on the ball and he's world class. And I'd love to see Overy and Benny on the same side because I think it'll be dynamic. And Trevor Morgan's got to start them both on that right hand side. Imagine Benny and Overy overlapping each other like that. That to me would be an outlet that we could utilise in the third game. But thank you
Let's
for the question.
Let's not forget too that playing out of position in that left back spot as well. And I recall late in the game he got a ball. I think it was Stephen Hall might have swung it out to him, but he's just dropped it on an absolute dime and then just spent a little touch around his opponent. So, and you mentioned there, yeah, those kind of raids forward and the ability to get around his man or win a free kick. So he was very classy. Good to see him in action today. Any other particular players that stood out for you in a positive sense, mate?
Oh, look, I thought it was a tough day at the office for most of the Aussies. I thought, again, look, I know Stephen Hall, he was under siege. I know he conceded 4 goals, but geez, he did well to command his box. Apart from that, he's got to stop playing the ball out. If I see him at the ball with his feet one more time, I'm just going to tell him to kick it. Because he did that against Italy as well. But
Hold
I
that
thought,
thought, mate, because we've got a question from Jacob on David Hall. So
uh,
Jacob's asked, "Is Hall as good as some people think? He's made some really big stops, but he has also made a fair few errors, including in the Asian Cup final." Oslock again has replied back saying, "I rate him in spite of the score. Goals resulted more from defensive errors. Last goal was unstoppable.
yeah.
His main errors came from distributing the ball out of defence, which is what you've said."
Yeah, 100%. I think he played really well. We're under siege. I feel sorry for Esposito because he's going to be looked at by those 2 errors. But yeah, they were under siege all day, and I think it was just overpowered by quality. I don't think there was any poor performances. I don't think many players stood out, but I was definitely impressed when Benny got further forward. I like Yuli in the first 15 minutes, but he just couldn't get on the ball. He was making some good touches and good balls, but we just didn't get get the ball to him enough. And whether that was, his positional play, because I know he was trying to go high, maybe he just need to hold that space in between the midfield and Toure. But, I thought he looked all right. But I think these Aussies are facing a real tough test, aren't they? At the highest possible level, and it's exactly where we want our boys to be. We've got to realise as a nation we haven't been at a World Cup for such a long time at this level, and you can see the difference and the mentality and how difficult it is in these environments. It's just got to be appreciated, and we've got to understand that. And this is why it's so important to get quality games at a young level.
I suppose just on that back line, if you are going to play Overy and then Benny in front of it, would mean that Taladera would come in on the left. Would you see either Kikiana or Esposito being swapped out for Bonatig or Harrington?
Oh, I'd love to see them in the tournament. Absolutely. I think they're both fantastic defenders. I'm surprised we haven't seen Bonatig come on late or Harrington. I thought he could have used them both,
I
but
suppose we're chasing the games.
we're
And
chasing the game. Yeah, you nailed it. We're chasing the game, and that's probably cost some time. But I hope to see one of them against Cuba, and I hope they get an opportunity because, I why not? Like they're at the World Cup against Cuba. They've got nothing to lose. Just give them a crack.
All right, one more question on the players for you from Oslock. Outside of Overy in the first half, our transition into attack needs work, which I think you've pointed out already. Toure needed more long through balls delivered ahead of him, otherwise play him on the wing. And then a question or a comment about Ocon. He has been good, but in the Asian Cup, he was our QB quarterback of our team with long creative passes. We need more of that. Do you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. But he's under so much pressure. I almost think he needs support. I think we need to play someone beside him. I think there's just too much pressure on him. We're getting pressed so high. We're just not being able to release the ball, and it's coming from the full press that Italy and Argentina are putting on us. And I think he's getting a bit isolated. He's working really hard, and he's finding it really difficult to pick up some players. He definitely worked in the Asia Cup, but I think someone needs to be beside him to protect him a bit more, or to play a little bit squarer, and that way it might just take that first release of that pressure and press from Italy and Argentina. So I think no doubt though, it's a great comment, and you'll probably see. I don't think you'll see a Cuba put that much pressure on them, and I think you'll see the difference why Asia Cup and the World Cup's just such a different level, because we've played two world-class teams.
It's a good point though around, and yeah, we probably didn't need it so much in the Asian Cup, as you said, but having that worker around you, around that ball player to free them up, I think would be a really valuable thing. But my last set of questions or comments is around Trevor Morgan, because there was an interesting debate going on from a few of our followers this afternoon in regards to Trevor Morgan, with a few of them not necessarily agreeing with what, or not that happy with what Trevor Morgan's done, and then a few in his defence. Now, you and I sat here in the World Cup preview and sung Morgan's praises, and I'm still a big fan of what he's been doing. You mentioned that we haven't been to an under-20 World Cup for 12 years. He's obviously won the Asian Cup trophy. I really just think that we've come up against some world-class teams, and when we reflect back on that Italy game, if we had taken a few of our chances, could have been a completely different picture. Argentina game today was a tough grind, but I still have high hopes for what Trevor Morgan has done with this team and the potential of what he can do.
Yeah, look, I've got no problem with Trevor Morgan, and look, people are entitled to opinions, and absolutely, it's a results business, and you want to see that elite coach take it to the next level. What I think the root cause is, and always will be in Australian football, is the ability to develop these young players and sustain them for a long time. Trevor Morgan's had this group for nearly 4 years, and I think you've seen the Asia Cup win fruit of his hard work. We've just found as a team, as a nation, the next level up is just a step that's just a tiny bit the bar's just a little bit too high, and we've missed those big moments, and it's come because we don't play enough of these pressure games. We just do not play enough of these games. Asia Cup, yes, there's a high standard, but what did we play? One or two quality teams, Saudi Arabia and Japan. No disrespect to the rest of the nation, but I still think Asia at this level is still way behind what Europe and South America are. And our teams just don't get across to play these teams regularly. And maybe that's finance or distance. And I think that's the root cause of it, not a coach or a style. Because as I said, we haven't been at the World Cup. We don't get to World Cups. We don't. When was the last time we won Asia Cup? You know what I mean? At a youth level, like it just doesn't happen. So Trevor Morgan for me is a father figure. He's done a fantastic job. He's been with this group, and he's just again like the players have just found that next step, those big moments. They just haven't converted or made a mistake in the key time. And I think we've got to take those lessons back and learn from them, absolutely. But don't write them off either. We'd still potentially, with this World Cup draw and only 8 teams get knocked out, still could make it. Like, I know we need a little bit of luck, but we still could win and put ourselves in a position to be in third place. And we won't even be talking about Trevor Morgan. We'll be talking about round of 16. So let's just let the process be done first before we react.
Yep, and about to go through some of the scenarios which might mean us finishing as one of those 4 best third place teams. But one of the points was made about the amount of football that we do play at youth level, and it's something that I know that you're very passionate about. So that's certainly something that needs to be considered going forward. I think we've made some good strides in that area the last couple of years, but let's hope that continues, and it's only going to be better for our football going forward.
I don't mean to keep going on about it, but we've just seen Italy's squad. The average, some of the players have played 60 games. 60 games at Euro Championships, UEFA Championships, elite level. They're playing Champions League under-19s. Like, that is a way different level and standard where we're at. We'd have to make huge strides to even get close to that.
Yep, I don't disagree, and I think that, as I said, I think that Football Australia have made some positive steps in that area, but it needs to continue and it needs to be ramped up as well. So let's hope that happens in the future. All right, mate, are you all good to go through? I've done the maths. Hopefully, I've done it okay, and you're gonna have to let me know if I'm being a realist, an optimist, or I'm a bit crazy with a bit of this analysis for our third place.
Give Australia hope, Chief. Come on.
All right. Okay. So obviously groups E and F still need to play their second matches, but I'll get to them in a sec. So in order for Australia to qualify as one of the best 4th place teams, I think these results need to happen, which I don't think are that unrealistic. So in Group A, Japan need to beat New Zealand, which you would expect. Chile need to beat Egypt. If that happens, New Zealand would be the 3rd place team. They would finish on 3 points with a negative goal difference. In Group B, we would need Panama and Korea Republic to draw. They're both currently on 1 point. So if they have a draw, obviously they'll both finish on 2 points. In Group C, we need Brazil to draw with Spain. So currently, both Brazil and Spain, we talk about the issues that we think we're having as Australia
in a weaker group.
Brazil and Spain are potentially both going out of the World Cup, which would be absolutely nuts. If they draw Brazil and Spain, they'll both finish on 2 points. Mexico could also finish on 2 points in that group with a negative goal difference if they lose to Morocco. So that would see all 3 of those teams on 2 points. Obviously, we've spoken about this one, Australia to beat Cuba, which would mean that we would finish on 3 with likely a negative goal difference unless there was a big swing in our favour. Group E, so these are the groups that haven't played the second game yet. So there's a couple of different things here. So South Africa, assuming they're going to beat New Caledonia tomorrow morning, and then they lose to USA, and then if that happens, South Africa would finish on 3 points with a positive goal difference. And then in Group F, Saudi Arabia draw with Nigeria, and then Saudi Arabia lose to Norway. And then Nigeria draw with Saudi and lose to Colombia. Saudi and Nigeria would finish on 1 point each with a negative goal difference. So what all that means is that if all those results happen, and I know there's lots of ifs in there, but I think they're all reasonable outcomes that could happen. That would mean South Africa would be the best third place team on 3 points with a positive goal difference. New Zealand on 3 points with a negative goal difference. Australia also 3 points on it with a negative goal difference. So we would be the third best placed third team and through. One of Brazil, Spain, or Mexico on 2 points with a negative goal difference. One of Panama or Korea Republic on 2 points with a negative goal difference. And then one of Saudi or Nigeria on 1 point with a negative goal difference. So yeah, I look at that and go, well, I think that's pretty reasonable that some of those results could happen. Obviously, unlikely that they're all going to happen, but I think that's very feasible. And I know I'm probably getting a little bit ahead of myself, but if we were to get through as one of the best third place teams, we would play Japan as the group winners of the winners of Group A, who we obviously beat in the Asian Cup, or we would play Ukraine, who we beat in a friendly just before the World Cup, or we'd play Paraguay. So all of a sudden, if we do get through, I know there's lots of ifs in there, mate, but the draw kind of opens up for us.
Yeah, well, if we beat Cuba, we're not going to finish fourth in our group, and 6 teams are going to finish fourth, aren't they? So, we only need 2 to be below us. So, and there's like, you look at New Caledonia, South Africa, it's definitely a possibility. I just worry about the late goals with our goal difference. That's my only concern. We'd have to have a good big win against Cuba. But I think if we win, we spoke about this in the preview of the World Cup, how if you come third, it could be a better draw than finishing first or second.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
look, it's optimistic, but I tell you what, we're definitely still a chance, and it's going to come down to some minor details. I can guarantee you that, because the way these groups are forming and the way they're playing, and we'll get some more detail tomorrow, it's definitely looking optimistic. So there is still a chance. It'd be interesting to see what Trevor Morgan does in the next game. But if we come out and we win, Cuba's played against 10 men Italy and 10 men Argentina. So hopefully we can keep our discipline and we can get a 2 or 3-0 win.
Yes, no send-offs, please. Yeah, I think we're going to know a lot more tomorrow morning as we record this on Thursday night. You'll likely know some of those results by the time you listen to this, but we'll know a lot more once we see the results from Group E and Group F. But look, a lot of it's out of our hands. We just need to look after what we need to look after. Firstly, beat Cuba if we can, put a few goals on them, hopefully, and then we'll see how the cards fall after that. But look, potential, we're still alive until we're not. So yeah, let's get behind them on Sunday morning when they play Cuba, and let's hope that we can get that win, and that will keep our hopes alive, you'd assume, at that point, and then we'll see what happens for the remainder of the groups from there, and we'll just go from there. But let's hope we can do it, mate.
Yeah, look, we've certainly shown signs, and we have come up against 2 quality oppositions, but in moments and in games we've been competitive. So yep, let's hope for a full throttle approach against Cuba, and we can rattle a boat and put them. Let's be up 1 or 2-0 at half time, and let the floodgates open. A 4-0 would be a fantastic result, just to get our goal difference
I'll
back to
take a
0.
4-0.
Yeah, but they're going to be looking. They've got a point, so that they're going to be going for it as well. So I think it'll be quite an open game.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think really a point does much for them either. So both teams will be looking for the win. So could be a bit of a end-to-end action. So yeah, let's look forward to that one. While I've got you, mate, I want to touch on a couple of other things that have happened the last couple of days. First one this morning, we had Irankunda versus Segecic. Didn't actually see the pitch at the same time, mate, because of a couple of things that have happened. But anyway, Watford, the end result was a 2-2 draw between Watford and Portsmouth. Irankunda was replaced after 35 minutes, didn't appear to have an injury, so assuming that's a tactical change. Fans absolutely blew up on social media. Saw some reports that Irankunda wasn't too happy about it. What, as a manager, what kind of statement are you trying to send, bring one of your better players off 10 minutes before half time?
Well, before that, BN Sports, I was furious because I was hoping to watch this game, and they played bloody Oxford. So I thought, why are they playing Oxford? They're nearly last. But anyway, I'd be filthy. 35 minutes, like, and apparently it was the most influential in Watford's team. I know they were down 1-0, but obviously there's some clash. Or look, as a tactical coach, I think he's lost the plot. I don't think it's any. I don't think you can say it's tactical at all. But it had the desired effect. So, what a sliding doors moment this game was. We wake up and Segecic is on the bench. Damn it! And then Irankunda starts, and you think, okay, Irankunda, but then he gets taken off. Now they're both on the bench. Portsmouth are up 1-0, but then the change causes 2-1 Watford to be in front. And then Superman comes on and another sliding doors moment, but Irakunda's off, but it's 2-2. And Segecic, what a fantastic take and goal. And yeah, so this game had everything. But to answer your question, I just think it's tactically mad. It just doesn't make sense at all. And if you've seen the stats and watched some of the highlights, and what you're rightfully so, Watford fans were fuming, and it just didn't make any sense to me. But obviously, I just hope, because the first initial thoughts while I was following this game on the phone was that he's been hurt. I thought he's been injured. The Socceroos are coming up against Canada and America, and we've lost Irankunda. I was devastated. But then when it said tactical change and I seen all the Watford fans blow up on social media, I thought, well, that's a bit weird. But anyway, he's okay. He's fit. He's healthy. And his brain's probably fuming. But Superman comes on again, scores his third goal in the championship.
Yeah, so Segecic came on 63rd minute, scored the equaliser in the 79th minute. It was a low drive. The ball probably should have been played out to him first time, but it ended up getting to him. Low drive that beat the keeper at the near post. But some interesting news out of Segecic that he confirmed in a post-match interview that he hasn't been selected in the Socceroos squad, which obviously hasn't been officially announced as yet, but a little bit of a leak from Segecic on his personal note. But what do you make of that, mate? Because we obviously saw him in the Soccer Ashes series, or we saw him on the bench and then saw him out of the squad. We'll really hopefully be in the squad and get some minutes this time around.
I'm personally devastated. I was worried that this could happen. Again, leaving him out of the squad against New Zealand and didn't play any time in Canberra, I was really worried. Look, I don't understand what's going on. I'm not close enough to understand what's going on either with Popovic and Segecic, but whether they've had the conversations or not, or there's hope or not. But I think from Australian fans, and if you look at who's playing well at what level, and this is the first time Segecic got benched all year. He's been playing well, and you know what's great about this story, apart from him missing out, was the resilience he's shown. Not only being dropped by Pompey, knowing that he wasn't in that Socceroos squad, and he's come out and scored. So hats off to him, because that's real maturity, and that's just showing you football on the pitch. And I hope that this relationship is still strong enough for us as an Australian football nation not to be stupid enough to be put in a situation where we potentially might lose this kid to another country. And if that happens, there'll be an uproar, and I'll be absolutely furious, because we've allowed him to go to New Zealand. It just could have been capped, and it is Australian Socceroo for life. And to make such an immature decision not to play him, or whatever that, maybe I'm out of text by saying that, but I just think it's ludicrous he was left out of the squad, and now he's left out of the squad again. That must be bigger than what I know. Surely we're not just barking up the wrong tree with this, because it's clearly something that's not right.
The big question for me, and I don't think it's a really obvious answer unless I'm completely missing something, is who comes in his position, because I don't really see anyone in that position that wasn't in the previous squad absolutely smashing it anywhere else. So Yeah, like who's Popovich thinking of bringing in his place? Because like there's definitely he hasn't been hitting the heights of what he first did when he got to Portsmouth. But as you said, he's been starting every game. He's been consistent, if not standing out. But if it's a long term project, you need to get him back into the squad and get him more games here and more minutes here and there. And then it just feels like a real backward step. I mean, we saw the same with Irankunda. He was in Popovich's first squad and then out of the next two, three,
Yeah.
and then back. So it's a really interesting approach. Like if I don't know if it's I assume it's kind of measured and tactical, or maybe it's not.
Is this a way to lead up to a World Cup though? Like these players, Irakunda and Segecic, are starting probably at a highest competition than most of our players where they're at, and 21 and 19 respectively. It just, I get Popper's comments about his teams were together for 8 years and they worked their way through Europe, and this is Segecic's first bow overseas. But wow, he's gone over. He's done a pre-season. He's starting for Pompey in the championship every week, apart from this morning, and then shows resilience, scores again. So it just does not make football sense to me if you're building some kind of culture. And I get you've got to earn it, and it's got to be more rightfully so. But are we that silly enough to not think that the other country's not going, ha, you fools? Like, are we that naive? Like, or is this bigger? If 6 months later it turns out all right, then maybe this conversation's null and void. But I
Oh,
just
look, we'll
even
put
if
up
it
our
is,
hands
it's not the right approach.
we'll put up our hands and apologise if it's a masterstroke from Popovich. But yeah, I just don't see the logic at this moment. And as you said, I just hope that those conversations are being had and there's a purpose to these decisions because I don't really feel that Segecic has done anything wrong to deserve to be dropped. And as I said before, I can't recall anyone really standing out that much that wasn't in that previous squad that's going to take his spot.
Good news, Chief, on the front. Mary Fowler re-signs for Man City, which I thought was a big thing overnight there. It was fantastic to see Mary Fowler commit her future to Man City. A great, obviously, move for Mary Fowler a couple of years ago, and it's definitely paying dividends as she returns from injury.
Yeah, it's pleasing to see her back running her training. Still away from obviously competing on the field, but yeah, that contract extension, and you can definitely see that Manchester City want to do something with her longer term, which is really exciting for her and for the Matildas.
And also, too, in Europe, some exciting news during the week. Parma's got their first win, 2-1 for Sarati. So that was a huge, important win. So close down that relegation zone there. So big win for Sarati over there with Parma with a 2-1 win.
Yeah, and also in the championship, we saw Cam Burgess take on Lewis Miller. Cam Burgess got the bragging rights there, 2-1. Another strong performance from Burgess, right up there in the passing stats and the duels. So he's having a really strong campaign, and no doubt he'll be selected in that Socceroos squad that we anticipate in the next couple of days. Let's turn our attention to a couple of the A-League clubs, the two that are competing in Asia. Melbourne City last night, they conceded a really, really late goal to Vissel Kobe to lose 1-0. Melbourne City have got that many injuries. When the team list came out, they had to actually put a side note in there to justify some of the selections and say this person's injured and that one's injured and this one's away on duty. And so they were missing a heap of players. It would have been a great point for them to get away in Vissel Kobe. They actually played pretty well. They were under the pump a fair bit. Patrick Beach made some nice saves, but little ricochet and just fell to the Vissel Kobe striker to score a really late one to lose 1-0. So absolutely heartbreaking for Melbourne City. And just this evening, the MacArthur Bulls beat Beijing Guan 3-0 at home for their first win in the ACL2 competition. So Beijing completely dominated possession and had more shots, but MacArthur Bulls were pretty ruthless in attack. Yeah, some good performances there from the MacArthur Bulls, and great to see them get their first win in the ACL2 competition for this season. So I think that probably puts them in a decent spot. They obviously lost the first one away, but I think if they win all their home games and potentially pick up maybe a couple of points on the road, they'll be absolutely fine to progress out of the group stage.
And I just want to touch last on your previous show, Chief. You said you couldn't remember Geordie Boss's goal against Central Coast. Well, it was on April 15th, 2023, when he scored that rocket that you discussed last week. I looked it up for you and found it. So
Did you
Geordie
like it?
Boss,
Did you
yeah,
like it?
it was sensational. So I know you were saying it's about 5 years ago. It was 2 years ago
2 years
and a
ago.
bit.
Wow.
So there you go, mate. Geordie Boss's rocket on the 15th of April, 2023.
It just shows you how far he's come in that 2.5 years, doesn't it? Like,
Oh,
it's crazy, right?
yeah, that's potential plus, and now he's in Europe in the Europa League as well, and plays hopefully tomorrow morning as well as Ange Not Forest.
Yeah, plenty of action still to come this weekend. That's going to do us for this evening, mate. Let's hope that the Young Socceroos can get that win against Cuba on Sunday morning. We'll be back on Sunday evening to record. We appreciate everyone's support. Thank you for all the comments and the questions from our followers. It really adds a lot of value to the show. So we really do appreciate it. We'll be back on Sunday. Thanks for your time this evening, Mopper.
Oh, thank you. And yeah, once again, just reiterate, thank you to all those who made those questions, and makes the show a lot better, and it gives us some great debate to talk about. It's great to hear your opinions and your passions on the Aussie game.
Thanks everyone for listening. We'll catch you on Sunday. Cheers.
See you, mate.